Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you will receive alerts when there are new episodes. Go get it.
I've been grinding for so long, I wake up and chase my goals. I go out and I go get it. How to code, that's all I know. I don't succeed, then I don't breathe. Success, what does it mean? If I conquer all my goals, then I'm living out my dream. Dig deep, go out and get it. Success Chronicles. Compete until it's finished. Success Chronicles. Go take care of your business. Success Chronicles. It's deeper than just winning. Success Chronicles.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Chip Baker coming to you with a hangout and highlight session. And today we're here with my guy, Mr. Tyrone Void. Great guy doing some awesome things, and I'm so thankful to have him on. So first, thanks so much for hanging out with the Success Chronicles.
Oh, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, let's dive into it, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are.
Well, I mean, again, I'm just I work in education. Before anything, I'm a dad. And so if you hear a little voice in the background, that's my son, my 3-year-old that likes to be involved in everything. So he may make a guest appearance here in a second. So, but who I am, I guess I'm just someone who really I love people. If I had to just put anything down as a passion, I'm really passionate about people. I'm really passionate about finding out, why they do the things they do, why they think the things they think. In my mind, I'm sort of like a psychologist, but I'm not. I'm just really interested in people and their stories. And with that, that just provides motivation, for both them and me, because a lot of times we don't get to the why we do things, good or bad. And so that's just who I am. And I don't know, about a whole lot of, anything, but I just know that I really love people and finding out their stories and being able, if I have any experience to share, man, I try to do that. And education has allowed me to do that. Excuse me, son, I'm on the phone. Thank you. And so as you can see, I have to use those experiences every day with the toddler. So I'm just the guy who I try to enjoy life. I try to find people reasons that they can enjoy their life. And I think that pretty much explains who I am as a person, and everything that I do has been kind of a portion of that. I write, I speak, but all of that is in the same vein. Finding creative ways to help people. Let's go.
So you talked about some of the creative ways of things that you're involved in. What are some things as far as that you're going into? I know you're working on some things,
right?
So let's just hit on some of those to highlight you.
So, man, I'm really starting to get into a little bit of more public speaking. Just finding ways that I can motivate via lessons I've learned through various experience of just life in general. Coaching teach you a lot about yourself and how to help others. I mean, there's layers and layers and layers of lessons to be learned just in that experience. And also just being in education, being a dad, being a husband, and how all those things interlock to become, a way to help people. So that's one thing that I'm moving into. Also, again, I've written 2 children's books. One, Bradley Knows Everything, and one also called Bradley Visits the Zoo, that try to start lessons at a younger age, right? I think that the child's mind starts to be molded immediately. You're teaching kids things all the time, whether it's intentional or whether they're just seeing things around them, but they're being taught, they're being fed things. They are sculpting who they'll be and how they think about things at all times. So that's one of the other things I'm going into. Then also, my partner and I had a podcast, 2%, that we're actually switching over a little bit, switching the lane of it, and now it's going to be Solve for X. And what that is just practical approaches to modern issues, right? We don't ever want to look at it as, we're problem solvers more than we are we're having discussions in real time to try to work through some of the things that present themselves just in day-to-day life, whether that's from a world angle or whether that's from things that we go through. But those are probably the two main things, man, that I'm working on. Just the public speaking, three things, excuse me, the pushing of the book, and then the podcast. So we just we're trying to just get out there, man, and get messages. And more than anything, I'm also working on one last thing. I'm also working on a show dealing with fatherhood. I just think that that's really, really, really important. That the fatherhood story is told. A lot of times, especially from a Black male perspective, we're spoken about and we're spoken for. Rarely are we spoken to or have a chance to speak. And our experiences are not all the same. I know it's easy to create some sort of monolith that, we come from this struggle and that's why we are the way we are, but that's not necessarily true all the time. And so I want to give a voice to the fatherhood journeys of as many people as I can, just so we have a database to go to whenever we are struggling to go through things. Because many times as men, who do we go to? We're taught to be a certain way, to think a certain way, that men don't do this. That's just not true. And so we need a bank of resources. We need a community. We need a tribe that we can go to, that we can take things from, that we can learn from, and that we can honestly become better men from, which in turn will become better fathers and create better men and women. Yeah.
I love it, man. Just hearing you talk about the things that you're involved in, and also reflecting on the things that you've experienced in the past. I think, nothing is wasted. No thing is wasted. And all of those experiences that we have in our life, being an educator, being a coach, being a father, writing, all of those things that, you had in your past, it's great when we can take those things, take the things that we've learned from that,
Mm-hmm.
and then use those transferable skills to be a blessing to others.
Absolutely. I think all skills are transferable.
Yes.
Our lives take us through twists and turns and ups and downs that we can't even plan for. And so I think that the one thing I've said in previous, speeches that I've given or whatever is that, a lot of times we're taught to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And that just doesn't make sense to me. It never has. But as a younger kid, I didn't understand why that didn't make sense. And it's just because there's no way to prepare for the best if you prepare for the best, and if you're just hoping that things go right, but you're preparing for the worst. So how can you prepare for the worst thing to happen? And then let's say the thing that you're actually shooting for does happen. You're ill prepared to handle that now because you've been preparing for the worst this whole time. And so, if I told you my life story, man, you would see how all of these things are completely different, but some way, somehow, they've connected me to a person or a purpose that has helped me become who I am today and who I will be in the future. And so with everything, there are lessons to glean from them, even if the lesson is, man, I don't want to do that no more. You know what I'm saying? There's always, I've made enough mistakes in my life, and I make enough mistakes in my life to be able to try to help people say, okay, I don't know how it's going to turn out for you, but let me tell you how it turned out for me, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, man, just hearing you talk about that, it makes me think about, I'm a simple guy, formula guy, and I have a formula for the sum total of who we are. And to me, I think the sum total is E plus R plus A, and that's environment plus experiences plus relationships plus actions. And when we put those together, that makes the sum total of who we are.
Yeah.
You think about it, all of the environments that you've been in throughout your life, you learn things from that, good and bad. The experiences you've had, we learn things from that, good and bad. Relationships, good and bad, we learn from that. Our life moves at the speed of our relationships, right?
Wow, I never heard that before. Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's the quote from one of my former pastors, man. In my second book, that's the first quote I start with. Our life moves at the speed of our relationships.
Wow.
It's so true. And then actions. The actions that we've taken, good and bad, again, those have all of that E plus R plus A makes us who we are. And I think when we have the awareness or noise cancellation, if you will, to hear all of that in our life and be able to reflect on that, then now it puts us in a space where we're in alignment with our assignment. Come on.
Wow.
And so
that's key though. That alignment is, well, knowing the assignment is the most important thing, right? Relationships has been my entire life. Like I've gotten jobs and positions and been places that I had no business being. You know what I mean? Like statistically, I'm not supposed to be much, coming from, a broken home, so to speak, which that's a narrative. You know what I mean? Just because your parents are split doesn't mean your home is broken. Just because your parents are together doesn't mean your home is not broken. So that's a whole different thing to spin off into. But, poverty stricken, being evicted more than 3 times in my life, having to move every year from the time I was, 8 to the time I was 17, mom being laid off, friends being in jail, whatever the case may be. I wasn't supposed to do anything, but that's when you say the E, man, the environment. You don't have to. Everybody's a product of their environment, like you said, but you don't have to be a bad product of that environment. Like sometimes you can look around and just say, "Man, this really, really sucks." I don't want to put my children and things through this. I think the way to combat that though is if you go back, man. Most people that come from situations that aren't ideal, if they happen to be somewhat, whatever success is to them, they happen to begin to obtain that. You can always go back to exposure, right? You've been exposed to something else, like somebody that somebody that you've seen, something that you've been around has shown you that something is probably different than what you've seen. Right? Our knowledge bases can be extremely limited, specifically if we come from situations that are, in those quote unquote hoods, or it's sort of impoverished, or single parent home, or whatever the case may be. Because parents do the best they can, but sometimes you only know what you know. And so you only teach what you know. And oftentimes we get caught up, man, in trying to make sure that our kids have better lives than we do, which we all want. But in turn, we end up projecting our fears onto them. And we end up projecting and then what happens is that person has internalized all of this struggle, and now they start to live their life that way, right? So just exposure and, like you said, experience, man. Like you got to be exposed to something in order to know that it exists. And then you have to go through things and be able to process that in a way that's helpful. It's just a matter of how do we get there, honestly. Like you said, the experience and, the environment and the relationships. Because shoot, as a young kid, you have to learn how to have positive relationships, honestly. You have to learn how to, if you come from a situation where it's constant turmoil in the house or it's constant struggle, you have to learn how to allow people to even love you and invest in you. And that's a difficult thing to learn, because you don't know that you don't know it until you have to know it. And that's many things in our life that we don't know that we should have known until we should have known. And it's just a matter of, okay, am I going to learn from this, or am I going to sulk in this? And I've done both, right? I've learned from a lot of things, and I've gone into situations that I have, complained my way out of, and only one has been successful for me. And it's not that I still don't get to a point where sometimes I find myself complaining. It's just a reactionary thing where the more conscious you get of the things that you do, the quicker you can realign yourself, as you say. Like the quicker you can realign yourself, like, okay, I'm tripping now. I can't, this isn't helpful for me. What am I feeding my spirit? What am I putting into the atmosphere? What am I saying that's actually affecting other people, right? Once you get yourself into a position that you're any sort of leadership position, right, you have to be careful with the words that you say, because your words become thoughts of others.
Man, come on. Man, so deep on all of those points that you hit on. I think as I heard you talk about those things, there were a couple things that I thought about. I think it's important to live and learn. I think is the first key. Just like you said with the environments. Um, I can just tell you there's some things that I saw in some of my environments where I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. I want to do that. I want to be like that person, or like, I want to grow and take those tricks. But then I also saw some things where, ooh, I see what that got you. I don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, get away from there. We ain't ever doing that in our family again. Okay.
Yeah.
Just some of those things. And then the next component is the mindset. And I love how you said, you don't know what you don't know until you got to have it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's important to be continuous learners and be open-minded to learn and grow. I think, and you can attest to this being an athlete and a coach. Once you stop your feet, you beat.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, and that applies to everything in life. I mean, like if you think you know it all, well, somebody just beat you and passed you up, and that's unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, because intelligence is not knowing everything. Intelligence is knowing that you don't know everything. Intelligence is you don't always have to know the answer. It's more beneficial to not think you know all the answers, and in turn know that you can go find the answer. Because in that journey, you may find 10 other things that you didn't know, right? And so with everything that you know, there's layers, there's depth of knowledge to that thing, right? Which is crazy you say that, because the first children's book I wrote, Bradley Knows Everything, that's the premise of it, right? So Bradley knows everything. Bradley is my son, by the way. Bradley knows everything because he knows that he doesn't know everything. But I know that if I see a tree, okay, the tree has leaves, the tree has branches, the tree has a trunk, the tree has roots. How do we get to it becoming a tree to begin with? What happens when the tree dies? Just see what I'm saying? Like, there's layers of knowledge from everything that you know. And so if you understand that,
it gives off oxygen. I mean,
like all of those things. There's so many things to learn about every single thing that you already know. And so, like you said, and once you stop, I love that quote. Once you stop your feet, you beat, because complacency is the enemy of progression, right? Like, you can be content in where you are and not be complacent. That's the difference. I can be, okay, I'm good where I'm at, but there's other places to go. But if I'm complacent, like, I know everything, I'm good right here. Even money don't stay the same, Chip. Like, your $1 that you have in your pocket now, if you say, man, I'm good with these $500, you keep that $500 in your pocket, and 3 years from now, that 500 is 200. You don't even have to spend it. Just in the inflation says that money ain't worth the same. And so with just that basic surface level of activity in the world, you have to keep progressing. That's the only way.
Love it, man. Love it. Well, before we get off, if you don't mind sharing with the audience where they can go follow you and check you out and show you some love.
Absolutely, man. So on Twitter, you can follow me on Coach Void. That's probably the best way to follow me there, man. I'm working on a website and all of that stuff, but all that comes, man. And, again, the children's books that I have, and I just love to interact. So if you have anything that you want to say, share, please be free. And I'm open to any sort of conversation that'll help any sort of progression.
I love it, man. Well, hey, had a good time. Just wanted to hang out and highlight what you're doing.
Absolutely, man.
I think you're doing some great things, and rooting for you. And I wish you continued success, my man.
Likewise, man. And I'm proud of everything you're doing, man. Keep it up.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, thank you guys for checking out this hangout and highlight session with my guy, Mr. Tyrone Void. Go show him some love. Check out what he's doing. Go get those books. Check out the podcast. If you need a speaker, he's a great speaker. So, hit him up. But again, thank you. Thank you guys for checking out this episode. We'll see you next time. God bless. Go get it.